My relationship with writing is that ideas are easy, I guess. For me at least, coming up with a notebook full of concepts isn't a particularly hard thing. I'm drowning in notebooks full of concepts. The difficulty in writing is in the execution. It's in getting the writing to sort of live up to that original idea, that emotion that sparked it to begin with. A lot of times for my stories, they're not grounded in, oh, I want to write a series of events where this thing happened. No, it's more I want to express this feeling, this theme, this something in my life that I need to sort of get at and look at in a different way, and this is a great way of examining that. So it's more about getting that side of it right than it is about the specific word choices. I think people freak out way too much about the word choices. I'm much more of a 90% type person in that 90% is good enough for most things, and then choose carefully what you want to give 100% to, because otherwise you're going to drown. I tried to write something out and it didn't go, so we're just gonna spew the words from the tongue. So yeah, actually executing with the actual writing is the challenge. It's certainly something difficult. You asked, demanding difficult, pain in the ass. I wouldn't call it pain in the ass, mostly because I don't like to say ass. But it's certainly difficult and definitely demanding. You can see when you go back to 30 days, where I wrote 30 stories in a row over 30 weekdays. It was like 100,000 words. I was not in a good mental space. Somewhere right around how to eat kale. Right around that, I was not in a good place. I was snippy. I was exhausted. Not even just from the act of that many hours, which was insane in and of itself. I mean, I probably spend 4, 5, 6 hours on a story, something like those 12,000 words. That was me literally just writing with like 3 hours of sleep, and thank goodness I didn't have any deadlines at work because I wasn't doing a lot of that. It definitely takes a lot of practice. You have to really roll with it. You have to just let the words out. If you start stressing over every other detail, it's not going to go anywhere, and you're going to jam yourself up, and the writing's just not going to flow. But it's definitely work. It's definitely draining. There's no story out there that I actually like that I've written that doesn't have a lot of me in it. And maybe that sounds funny saying it's full of me, but the principles, the concepts, the things behind it, those are all ideas that I needed to examine for myself beyond just writing like a fluffy fic about kittens. There's more to it than that, and some of them have more than others. So you look at something like Teach Me to Play, or Misconnections, or Until We Meet Again, Dandelion Promises, Silver and Gold, Scars Inside, Mirror Between Us. Those all have more me than others, but there's still I look at those and I see things that I'm trying to work through, and I don't necessarily have solutions to them, but they capture an aspect of what I was looking at that time and in that headspace. Writing is not easy. I hate when people say that, how you just slam some words across a page and be done with it. It's not. I can tell you, I was just done after 30 days. I think my family was relieved that I was no longer writing, just because it was not good. You have to practice it. You're not going to be good the first time. I wrote some atrocious self-insert fan fiction, and I wrote a whole novel actually back in university, and it's not good because you have to, with these 30 days, I'm just sort of writing and spewing them out, and I actually wrote probably more like 35 days for 30 days, because there were some that were just so bad I was like, nope, shut that down. Writing is work. Getting out those words is a lot of work. It takes a lot longer than you think it would. But there are those brief moments when you play it and you play it right, and the best way to describe it really is Teach Me to Play. How you're struggling and trying to get it, and you're trying to be such a perfectionist, and then all of a sudden right at the end it flows all together, and I love that story. I actually wrote the last bit first. It took me about 40 minutes. I had Clair de Lune blasting through my ears, my eyes were closed, I was in like this little dark corner of my bedroom at night. There were stars, I had a huge window, which is great, with a whole bunch of pillows, and then just sort of rammed that out. And moments like that, when the words just flow, those are really what writing is all about. And when I really love it, when you get to pull something together So examples, that ending of Teach Me to Play, the scars inside, the ending part where Carmilla is looking at all of Flora's scars and talking about them, it still takes forever, but the time just passes in such a way that you don't even notice it's going. It's just the words just sort of tumble over themselves, and I know I use a lot of ands and incomplete sentences, but it feels very real. Same with certain bits of dialogue. This is gonna get too long of things I could go into about how I write Laura, how I write Carmilla, why I write them the way I write, how I relate to that. Not interesting. It's a skill. You don't just sit down and know how to write. That's the great misconception that they teach you, that if you just know a few basic grammar rules, you'll be fine. Most of what I write, I don't think is great. It's fine. But you have to write quantity over quality, which sounds weird, but if you write a whole bunch, a couple of gems will emerge. If you just try and write one sort of magnus opus, then a lot of times you'll get so caught up in the finer details of it that you won't get anything great written. You have to practice to get good at it. And I think fan fiction is a great way to sort of go through that. So I hope that answered your question, because you really wanted an answer. Sorry it's in video format and dragged on and got long, and I suppose it's a good time to say thanks so much, Cupcakes, for everything. It's been awesome, and I hope to keep writing chapter 2s and whatnot as we go along. Alright, stay stupendous.